gotta get you a new bobblehead, man. You should have been in
I was
Philly
gonna
last
say,
night.
where's your Wilt
That
bobblehead?
Wilt bobblehead.
Wilt Chamberlain bobblehead
He's
yesterday,
the
yo.
best player in the league. I need a new bobblehead. Is he even in the league?
Yo, how
Well,
did
you know they.
Oh, my question is this though: how did Brendan Haywood even have a day where they decided to give out his bobblehead?
Look how small it is, yo. Welcome to another edition of Inside the War Room. I'm one of your hosts, Devin McMillan, and I'm here with my partners, Jimmy Williams.
What's up, people?
B. Austin.
What is life without sports? What is sports without life?
And we got our special guest, OJ Philly from In the Clutch Radio.
Hey, I'm not an expert. I just play one on the radio.
And we got Roy Burton of the Broad Street Line.
What's good, everybody?
What's good? All right, so we're reconvening today because, you know, a while back we came on prior to the NBA season to talk a little bit about Andrew Bynum and our Philadelphia 76ers.
We played ourselves.
We're down the stretch of the season. None of our predictions have panned out.
Guilty as charged.
But at the same time, Andrew Bynum has yet to touch the court. Now, last week, fellas, Andrew actually practiced for the first time, and Doug Collins said that he was basically unimpressed with what he saw. It looked like a guy who hadn't played ball in 9 months. Judging by this situation, let's talk a little bit about the team and how it's handled life without Bynum, and then let's go on and talk about whether or not you guys think we should re-sign Bynum, you know, when his contract is up at the end of the season. OJ, you want to start us off on this?
Well, first of all, yes, things haven't panned out the way they originally planned, you know, with Andrew Bynum, signing him and putting the players around him. But what troubles me is that a lot of fans here believe, and media also, a lot of fans here in Philadelphia believe that Andrew Bynum is the only problem here, and it's not. And I think it totally baffles me that most fans think that the general management, the people that are running this team, fans seem to be okay with it. And I don't understand that. I mean, why are we accepting the fact that Tony DeLeo is a general manager of an NBA basketball team? I know he's been with the organization for a generation, but what did he do to deserve the job? I know no one else wanted the job, but you just acquiesce and just say, hey, you know, you look around and you say, okay, well, Tony's here, let's give him the job. So why are we accepting it?
Right. Well, Roy, you know, off of what OJ just said, do you think that management has done a bad job, or do you just think that the fact that, you know, their centerpiece, since he hasn't been able to play, that's just the main reason this roster is performing the way it is, or does the roster just stink in general?
Well, the roster's bad in general. I mean, you were always, like, even before the Bynum trade, I mean, their goal was to build inside out, but you signed guys like Kwame Brown and Spencer Hawes. Those aren't like your anchors for a team that's trying to play inside out. You got lucky when you got a chance to get Andrew Bynum back in August. He hasn't played, so it kind of didn't pan out for you. But like from the start, like you were trying to build a roster inside out, but you start with Kwame Brown, Spencer Hawes. You get Nick Young, who you haven't used right. You get Darrell Wright, you haven't used right. This whole roster, like top to bottom, is pretty much put together badly. So it's really, you have to point the finger again at the GM. You couldn't get a guy because you're always, you know, basically Doug Collins is the de facto GM. Whatever they want to tell you, Doug Collins basically has the last say on personnel issues. So that's the reason why you couldn't get Masai Ujiri from the Nuggets, a couple other guys you were looking at this year. You have a bad roster that you're starting out off with, and you have a guy who the coach who has a last say on these things. So you're not going to get a good GM. And if Doug Collins has the last say, that's why you're ending up with guys like Spencer Hawes and Kwame Brown as your centers.
Right. Now, Jimmy, knowing that Doug Collins has the last say, because we actually spoke about this the other night on Hoop Girls Radio, he sort of had a meltdown earlier in the week. I mean, we know he doesn't last past year 3 with any of the places he's been before. How much do you put on Doug Collins' shoulders? How much of the problem?
I mean, I agree with everything they said. I think there's enough blame to go around, but let's not just absolve Andrew Bynum of all the blame. And part of the reason that irritates me is just the way this guy carries himself in public and the way he talks and that little dumb smirk he has. And I know I'm being petty, but it does just bother me the way this guy acts. And they built this team.
Little Lakers bias there.
No. But listen though, they built this team. They built this team. They tried to put shooters around him. So even though the team is bad and it's hard to watch at times, if he played anywhere near what we know he can play, and he did play this season, I think that the season will be completely different, especially considering the Eastern Conference stinks.
May not be that 50-game win.
I mean, listen, I was hyped up. I know. I was hyped. I bought into the hype. I know. But at the end of the day, I looked at the Eastern Conference, and I still do, and I says, listen, I give them credit for making a move, because I grew up with a Sixers team that didn't try to make any moves. They didn't do anything. They didn't go for it, so to speak. So I give them credit for going for it, but I agree. There's enough blame to go around to the general manager, to the coach, to the players, because I don't even think they give full effort night in and night out just watching them. And I mean, I guess so when your team stinks this bad. Other than Drew plays hard. Evan Turner, I don't know where he's at some time, but then he has a game like last night when you're like, well, damn, maybe he can play. And let's see what he does next game.
You ain't hate it. He's nice.
All right, so look, nice. B. Austin. Now we all can talk about this a little bit, but you can start us off with your opinion. With all of what everybody else being said, what do you think that there's any possibility, or what would you do? Would you re-sign Andrew Bynum knowing that he's the type of player, had he performed this season, he'd be looking for a max contract? What would you do come the end of the season?
Well, precedents have been set with players of 6'11" and taller. So we know his talent level. We know what he can do. We know there are really no viable options at center. So you're going to see Andrew Bynum command top dollar in the market. Now it's a matter of whether we want to continue with the Andrew Bynum experience. I won't even call it an experiment. Personally, I wouldn't give the guy any more than a 2-year deal. And my thoughts are based on the degenerative condition I believe is in his knee. I think that, going back to what OJ touched on and Roy, from a management perspective, I think we all have a different slant or perspective that we're bringing to the table. From a management standpoint, if they had done their due diligence and really understood the gentleman's attitude combined with his physical nature and his health, you don't pursue him the way that they pursued him, and you certainly don't build him up to be the linchpin of your franchise, which is what they've done. So now they've put themselves in a position. This guy doesn't really, from my perspective, he doesn't really care that much about basketball. Right. He's going to get paid, and he knows he's going to get paid. He's 7'2", has a tremendous skill set, and has bad knees. So,
Okay, well, look, I don't know. I'm not going to. What were they supposed to do though? Like Jimmy said, we're used to seeing the Sixers team sit back and not make any moves. So I can't blame them. The initial move.
I'm not throw management under the bus completely.
You have to pursue him.
And I get that. So I'm not killing them completely. I think they didn't make an egregious move where you're like, let them go, fire them. They just made some minor mistakes. They didn't do their due diligence.
I have a question.
So you gotta make the move. But now that you've made the move, you've experienced it for a season. Now where do you go from here?
Right. Don't compound the mistake.
Yeah, but my question
is
this.
I'm not giving that dude a max deal.
Maybe any of you guys can answer this, because Dev asked this question to me this past week, and it was I found it funny but also true. How did he pass his physical for the trade to even go through? Someone explain that. Now, whose job was that? Let's give them some blame too.
It's my fault. I did the physical. I checked him out.
Somebody without a license did.
Who's responsible for giving the physical to the guys when they get traded like that? I mean, did Pat Croce give him his physical? I mean,
I don't know. I think Dr. Kevorkian or somebody gave him his physical. I don't know. But Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we all believe what the Sixers said. Hey, okay, he's cleared to play. He's good. He's going to play at some point this season. We can only go by what the doctor said. So I guess at this point we have to question who the Sixers doctors are. I mean, maybe they should fire him at the end of the season because you see the PR hit that they've taken as a team. And fans have just waited and waited and waited to see Andrew Bynum play so we could see the evolution of a Drew Holiday, even though, he's been an all-star this year, of course. But, to help him around, to put other players around him, to help an Evan Turner evolve, to help Thaddeus Young evolve. And we haven't seen that. And the fans are totally frustrated.
Yeah, not only just the fact that he hasn't played, but what we touched on before, the position that is putting the team in now, because a really hard decision has to be made. And I'm with B. Austin along the lines of, okay, maybe this guy needs like a 1-year deal, 2-year deal to try to prove himself, worthy of a long-term max contract. But at the same time, they're offering that. Like we always say, it only takes one team. It only takes one team to come with that max deal, and he's gone. And our 1-year deal means nothing.
And did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that the Rockets have already said they're willing to give him some money?
So the Rockets are willing to give all of us money.
You know what? And to your point, Jimmy, there is that attitude thing. There's that at Rudy T. There is that attitude thing. I mean, let's compare and contrast. When you look at, say, a Derrick Rose got injured, and now he doesn't even leave his building. Like he's distraught over the injury. Then he's focused on rehabbing. He's busting his ass. Andrew Bynum is in Atlantic City. He's down Old City at Spice Cafe. He's partying.
That's that. What's the quarterback from the Bears? That's that Jay Cutler stuff, man.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
The man has to live his life, though. I think the fans complain a little too much.
Yeah, I know.
When I sprained my ankle, I still did the stuff that I did every day.
I know. But you know what?
It's sit in the house and it looks different to fans. I understand.
Yeah, it's frustration, like OJ pointed to, because the season seems so promising. Because again, they're in the Eastern Conference. He plays a position where it's not. The center position is so bad they removed it from the All-Star ballot.
Why can't I play some poker because my knee hurt?
Here's the biggest difference though in this instance. It's not like in Jay Cutler's instance, I don't think coaches were throwing him under the bus. Now you could say that Doug Collins is a little emotional. He needed some cranberry juice.
Jay Cutler quitted his team in the playoff game though.
But Bynum, not only has he been seen out and about getting his wiggle on, now he comes back and Doug kind of took a shot at him, like, what have you been doing in 9 months? Where's your conditioning at? What have you been doing?
Jay Cutler was taken out of a game that he was hurting his team.
Yeah, he's hating.
Right.
Why let facts get in the way, though?
We'll talk about that later. But, Roy, all right, so, Austin has said what he said. I said, the 1 or 2 year deal, but we've also made light of the fact that another team might come in and just play Superman and just snatch him up. Right. What would you do if you were?
The Rockets don't care about the luxury tax.
Well, Rockets have plenty. They have plenty of money.
I was about to say because they're nowhere near it. That's why.
yeah, they're only paying Harden. And Lennon Sheik deals don't really hit that hard. They have plenty of room. But the thing is, you guys are right. Like you can't compound this mistake, and that's the worst case scenario. Is if this team gave Andrew Bynum a max 5-year deal for max money. Somebody out there is going to give this dude a 4-year max deal. It can't be you. You can't afford to make that. You can't afford to make that mistake. And because that's the thing is because he's a 25-year-old guy with whatever you want to call it, degenerative condition, arthritis, whatever. That doesn't get better. Like he's not going to. His knees aren't going to get better. He's not going to get back to that, second team All NBA status that he was last year. He might be able to manage the pain for 60 or 65 games a year. He's not going to give you 4 or 5 healthy years, with his knees. I don't care. He can call up Ron Jaworski and get as much stop pain as he wants. It ain't going to help the knees out, okay?
Could he call Ray Lewis and get some deer antler spray?
He get all the deer antler spray and whatever he wants.
Let's do that. I'm all for the deer antler spray.
Valco, cream and clear.
Do you agree? Like, as far as contract goes, the Sixers, they just can't give this guy a long-term deal?
Yeah, at this point, you have to be careful with his condition, just as Roy mentioned, a 1-2 year deal. But then again, you're at the mercy of other teams who are willing to spend money, who don't worry about the luxury tax. and other teams who have players in place to where Andrew Bynum doesn't have to be the man, and you can plug him in there, and you can take a bigger risk. You can take a risk, but it's a higher reward, whether he plays or doesn't play, because let's say Houston already has a James Harden, who can score night in and night out. They can already make the playoffs with just him on the team, and they're going to re-sign him. And another thing about Doug Collins as well, yes, Doug Collins has the final say and all, but I still blame the Sixers brass for allowing them to have the final say to pick these players. Because again, you look at Doug Collins' track record in Washington, in Detroit, in Chicago. I mean, what has he proven other than being a great broadcaster to be able to evaluate talent to be on a basketball team?
They relinquish
I
power
also blame the
begrudgingly.
Sixers brass for that. I mean, I can't let them off the hook for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
they relinquish that power to them begrudgingly.
Even the best coaches don't pick their players.
Yeah.
I have a theory about Doug. Now, we all know that Michael Jordan is dropping. He's cutting weight. He's going back down to 215. And, he's Michael Jordan. So do you think that he'll end up coaching the Charlotte Bobcats? And we all know why he would be coaching the Charlotte Bobcats.
Because he's the only one that's going to let Mike play.
But Dev, to your point, so if they move
he's
on,
the only one that'll work with Michael Jordan.
If they move on from
to work for Michael Jordan,
the Bynum
Y'all can just totally
experience,
ignore that. I don't need a response.
Hey, Austin, you call it the Bynum experience. So if they move on from the Bynum experience, that means this whole roster has to be changed. Because this team was built around him as the centerpiece. So if you move on from that, the team's going to be bad for a while.
That just means it's a total rebuild unless
total rebuild.
Despite
they get lucky in the draft and there's some big man out there that they can, but I don't see that happening. So,
despite what you may think you see with Spencer Hawes, he's really only 6'3", and Boy Allen is
6'3" game.
Why is he here? Why is he still here?
Huh?
Why is who still here?
Spencer?
No, Lavoie.
Spencer Hawes. Why is he here?
Kwame gets the
because they gave him a 2-year, $12 million deal.
Yeah. Kwame doesn't even play. He was the big signing in the offseason before they actually got Andrew Bynum. I don't know. He can get a couple of rebounds or something.
Then we gotta cut Nick Young because of his nickname, like
Swaggy P.
Yeah.
Listen though, he goes hard every night though, man. You gotta give him credit though, because he thinks he thinks he's a top 5 player.
So basically, it looks like we're all at a loss here. We all agree that the Sixers, they have to figure something out that other than giving Bynum a long-term deal at the end of the season.
Handcuffed.
Maybe he wants to be here. I don't really look at him as the type of guy who, he's honorable and feels the need to prove anything. So I think if the money comes, he's gone. So I don't know. We're going to ask the fans. We're going to ask you guys out there, what would you do? Leave your comments in the comment section. Make sure you click the like button on this video. Check us out at warroomsports.com. Check out I'll let you guys, OJ, let them know when they can catch you and your show. And then, Roy, you can follow him up.
All right.
Again, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, in the Clutch Sports Radio on the blogtalkradio.com network. And you can also catch me Saturday afternoons at noon on the Word on Sports, 900 a.m. WRD in Philadelphia.
Cool.
You can check out the Broad Street Line each and every Tuesday at 6 p.m. right before OJ show on blogtalkradio.com. Check me out as well on LibertyBallers.com, where I cover the Sixers, and on Bleacher Report, where I talk about the NBA.
All right, and of course, you can check out the War Room 6 to 8 every Thursday, also on the Blog Talk Radio Network, or you can just catch it at warroomsports.com. This has been another edition of Inside the War Room, talking about the knees of one Andrew Bynum. We don't know what else to do.
We didn't get to the hair.
But
we didn't get to the Frederick Douglass hair.
Yeah, we don't know what else to do with the situation. But what we can tell you is don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
See you chumps on top.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.